The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of Digi-all. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to Digi-all Tech News. Today is Thursday, May 28th, 2026. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. A Chicago Fed official is warning that AI hype could push inflation higher before promised productivity gains actually show up, especially with oil shocks in the mix. Samsung's memory chip workers are set for extraordinary AI boom bonuses after a profit-sharing deal ended a 5-month labor fight and avoided a threatened 18-day strike. Amazon is turning Alexa for shopping into a white-label AWS product for other retailers, with Kate Spade already using it for an AI gifting assistant. OpenAI and Anthropic are now publicly split on whether advanced AI is heading toward large-scale white-collar job displacement. The head of the American Federation of Teachers is calling for firm limits on classroom AI and screen time, especially for younger students. Let's start with the economy, because this is a useful reminder that AI is not just a product story, it is becoming a monetary policy story. Chicago Federal Reserve President Austan Goolsbee warned in prepared remarks for a Bank of Japan conference that the bigger the hype around future AI productivity, the more interest rates may need to rise to keep the economy from overheating. His point is not that productivity gains are impossible. It is that expectations can move faster than reality. Companies and consumers can spend ahead of gains that have not arrived yet, which can feed price pressure before the benefits show up. Goolsbee also said a near-term supply shock, from oil prices, supply chains, or other disruptions, makes the problem worse. And recent oil price pressure tied to the Iran war is the complicating backdrop here. That puts him at odds with the argument, heard from parts of the Trump administration and incoming Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, that AI should be disinflationary enough to make room for rate cuts. The trade-off is delicate. Central banks do not want to let AI excitement turn into inflation expectations, but tightening too early could also slow the genuine productivity improvement everyone is waiting for. Now, this is where the AI boom becomes very tangible for workers. Samsung Electronics' memory chip division has reached a profit-sharing deal that allocates 10.5% of the semiconductor division's operating profit to workers, mostly in stock. The reported bonuses are huge. One example involved a worker with an 80 million won base salary, receiving about 626 million won, or roughly 310,000 pounds, in bonus pay. The agreement was approved by 74% of 62,616 voting workers across 2 unions, ended a 5-month dispute, and avoided a threatened 18-day strike. That matters well beyond Samsung's offices because Samsung accounts for roughly a quarter of South Korea's exports, and a strike in memory chips would have hit a supply chain already stretched by AI demand. Here is the bigger signal: investors are no longer looking only at graphics processors. Memory, the hardware that stores and moves data for AI systems, has become a center of pricing power, shortages, and profit. But a payout this large also creates new tension. Other Samsung divisions are getting much smaller bonuses. A consumer electronics union is challenging the vote. An investor group is threatening legal action over shareholder approval. And business groups worry other unions will ask for the same kind of deal. When AI profits become real, the next question is who gets to share in them. Amazon's move is a classic AWS play. Take technology built for Amazon, package the architecture and lessons, and sell it to everyone else. Amazon Web Services is now licensing the core architecture, starter code, and learnings from Alexa for shopping, the AI shopping agent formerly known as Rufus, so retailers can launch their own customized assistants in as little as 60 days. Kate Spade, owned by Tapestry, is already live with a gifting assistant, and other unnamed retailers are testing the service. Amazon's pitch is that retailers should not hand the shopping relationship to outside AI intermediaries, because retailers know their own products, customers, and categories in a way a general-purpose assistant cannot. In practical terms, the interface of online shopping is up for grabs. OpenAI, Google, Perplexity, Walmart, Target, Etsy, Gap, eBay, and Salesforce are all building or partnering around shopping agents. The interesting tension is trust. Amazon says data and branding stay under the retailer's control, but some retailers will still have to decide how comfortable they are using Amazon's cloud for the customer experience. And Amazon has its own walled garden instincts, including reluctance to integrate with rival AI platforms and a buy for me feature that can transact on third-party sites. So the question is not just whether shoppers want bots to help them buy things, it is whether Amazon can convince retailers that it is the safest landlord for the next shopping interface. The debate over AI and jobs is getting sharper because the two leading labs are not telling the same story. At the Vatican's AI ethics conference, Anthropic co-founder Chris Olah reinforced CEO Dario Amodei's warning that there is a real possibility AI could displace human labor at very large scale. Sam Altman, meanwhile, told Commonwealth Bank of Australia CEO Matt Comyn that a jobs apocalypse is unlikely, and said he was wrong about earlier projections that entry-level white-collar roles would be widely eliminated. The evidence is messy, which is exactly why the argument matters. Recent layoffs have kept the doomer narrative alive. Meta cut nearly 8,000 roles while projecting at least $125 billion in AI capital spending this year, and companies including Coinbase, Block, Pinterest, and Shopify have linked restructurings to AI capabilities. But other signals point the other way. Stanford research found unemployment increases since 2023 concentrated in sectors with low AI exposure. Indeed, data showed software engineering openings up more than 18% year over year, while overall postings fell 4.3%. LinkedIn's chief economist estimated AI has generated about 1.3 million new job postings. And some companies are rediscovering cost limits, with Uber saying AI expenses are becoming harder to justify, and Microsoft winding down some Claude Code licenses because of high token costs. My read is that the clean apocalypse versus boom framing is probably the least useful one. The more practical story is uneven disruption. Some work gets automated, some new work appears, and companies still have to prove the economics. And in education, the fight is shifting from whether schools should use technology to what children are developmentally ready to handle. American Federation of Teachers President Randi Weingarten used a National Press Club speech called Devices Down, Eyes Up, Hands On to call for concrete limits. Most students should not use computers until third grade, student-facing AI should be prohibited in elementary schools, and social companion chatbots should be banned until age 16. She said students are drowning in tech and need real human beings, not robots and chatbots. But she also framed this as balance, not a bonfire. Her line was that she is not calling for an AI ban or a Chromebook bonfire. The timing is political too. The speech came 1 week after a Trump administration Surgeon General's advisory warned against excessive screen time and urged schools toward physical textbooks, pen and paper work, physical activity, and cell phone bans. Weingarten also criticized the administration for dismantling the education department and withholding nearly $300 million in education research funding, while the White House pushed back by pointing to the union's pandemic positions and the administration's executive orders advancing AI adoption. Internationally, Sweden, Madrid, and China have already moved to limit screens in schools, while parts of the US are restricting devices even as others push AI literacy requirements. The hard part is that both instincts can be true. Students need digital fluency, and they also need attention, social skills, communication, collaboration, hands-on work, and flexibility for students with disabilities. The policy question is where to draw a boundary that protects childhood without pretending AI will disappear from adult life. Today's through line is pressure. AI, pressure on inflation expectations, labor deals, retail interfaces, job forecasts, and classrooms. The technology is moving fast, but the bigger story is how institutions decide where to speed up, where to slow down, and who absorbs the risk in between. Thank you for staying informed with Digi-all Tech news. We'll be back with more updates as they develop.